I don't know if Ben's on yet. Okay. There he is. All right. Hi, Ben.
Hey.
Hey. How are you?
Good. How are you?
Good. I think it's just loading your camera here. So.
Okay. Kind of looks like it. Let me turn it on here. Says it is. Let's try it. There it goes. Nope. Lost it. There, we're back.
How are you? How are you?
I'm doing well.
Good, good. Thanks for hanging out with us today. Appreciate it.
Yeah, no problem.
Turn you around. I have some people missing today, but you can kind of see where everybody's at and stuff. So
okay. Awesome.
There you go. So awesome. Well, thanks so much. I appreciate it. And yeah, we really had a hard time finding somebody to talk about their military experience. I had several people that emailed, and then I was like, oh yeah, Ben did that. So I forgot about that. So well, let me go ahead and have you kind of introduce yourself to the kids, and you can talk a little about what you do now, and then we can kind of talk about your military experience. And then I actually would like to have you talk a little bit about your current position and stuff too. So
sure, absolutely. I'll say, well, my name is Ben Stanhope. I am the youth pastor at Findlay First Church of the Nazarene here in Findlay. I've been a youth pastor for probably about 10, 11 years now. So I'm getting old. But that's all right. Still young at heart. I'm the youth pastor that gets in trouble everywhere we go because I like to climb trees randomly. And so people always get mad. Like, who is that kid? And it's like, well, that's not a kid. That's actually our leader. And but it's fun. But I've been here in Findlay. September will be 4 years. Will be 4 years. So I have my wife and I have been married almost 13 years coming up here in September. We have three kids, a 6-year-old, a 3-year-old, and a 9-month-old daughter. So we're very busy. We stay very busy.
And your children are adorable. I love them. So so yeah, it's a little bit about Ben, and you know, we were going to talk a little bit about your military experiences. And I know that you and you and your wife have both moved around quite a bit and stuff with your military experience. So, but tell the kids a little bit about, I think you were in the Navy, correct?
Yes.
Okay. Tell the kids a little bit about how you got into the Navy, maybe what interested you in getting into the Navy, and then like, what was your experience like?
Yeah. So in high school, I played football, basketball, and baseball. Absolutely loved it. And I was really hoping for a baseball scholarship. And honestly, it never panned out. And so I came from a family that we didn't have a lot of money growing up for school. My sister ended up going to Michigan State University, and she's a teacher now and outside of Orlando, Florida. She absolutely loves it. And so my reaction was, well, I don't want to say this out loud, but I don't like school. I want to play sports and I want to be active and stuff. So I thought, well, maybe a military career would be for me. I already had some of the discipline. I probably could do more discipline because I was like a C and B student. I wasn't super, academic minded, but I did it to just get it over with. And so I thought the military career would be best suited for me. I originally wanted to be a chaplain. As you know, I'm a pastor now, but based off the needs that the military had at the time, I went to the recruiting center, and they gave me kind of a list of options on what to do. And I originally wanted to be a SEAL, and I passed all the requirements of becoming a SEAL and entering BUDS. And in the interview process, I probably said something like, "Oh, someday I want to be a pastor," and that was kind of the end of that. But I ended up being an aviation ordnanceman. And so what that means is I was the guy that built bombs, built missiles on F-18 aircrafts. So all the Super Hornets that you see flying around, a lot of the fighter jets, I worked on all those weapon systems, built bombs, put all the explosives that go onto those. That's what I did. So it was a lot of fun.
Yeah, as I say, he has a lot of interesting stories about his experience, but the bomb making, I think, was one of the big things that I was always thought was interesting with your career and stuff. So yeah,
Mhm.
I'm going to pause for just a second and see if the kids have some questions here before we move on a little bit further. So do you want to spend some questions yet? Think about it. They're thinking. Okay, sounds good.
Okay.
So you talked a little bit about getting into the military and your experience, and you also talked a little bit about how, originally you wanted to be a chaplain in the military. Can you talk to the kids a little bit about, the military offers so many different career paths, either within staying in the military or obviously after your military experience is over, you can enter some fields. Can you talk a little bit about some of the things that are offered either by staying in the military or by leaving the military for other opportunities?
Yeah. So let's start with staying in the military. So there are a wide variety of career choices for the military service. Some of them are based off of needs that the military has. So for my sake, I was like, hey, I want to be a chaplain. They went, that's awesome. You're not going to do that. And so I had, did something a little bit different. But if you are, if you want to be a journalist, there's a way for you to become a journalist within the military service. If you like, maybe you want to be in law enforcement, you can be involved in military police. If you like admin type work, there's anything and everything, any career path you want to do, the military will have that for you. Now, the one thing that's kind of weird for me was I had planned on serving my 4 years and being done. But in every conversation that I had with a lot of recruiters and even people while I was in, it made it sound like, oh, once you're in, you're going to be in here forever, and that's not the case. You have a contract, and your set time will be done on your end of your contract date. And what's cool about my job specifically, even building bombs, was, I'm earning, I say earning, college credit. I'm earning career credits towards, they call it continuing education. And so if I left my military service building bombs and missiles, and I went and worked for an airline company, all my military experience, all those things would carry over to whatever field I wanted to do. So even if I worked on the aircrafts themselves, a lot of my military experience would help guide and pave the way for some of that. And then same for when you get out of the service, a lot of those things, they will help you transition out. So they're not just going to say, well, today's your last day, good luck, get out of there. I knew I wanted to go to college, and I did. And so when I left the service, my wife and I moved. We went to Nashville, Tennessee, and attended Trevecca Nazarene University, where both of us studied. My wife is a nurse, and she could probably tell you all about that. But they do a pretty decent job of preparing you for life outside of the service as well.
I'm glad that you talked about that, because we've been talking a lot about in our career unit how experience, regardless of what it is, volunteer experience or just even just getting a job when they turn 16 or whatever, it's very helpful in getting them further in life, even if it's just something for just a short amount of time. So I love that you mentioned that, because the military, it's nice that they do help you transition into the world, and don't just leave you hanging. Like you're able to like match a job up and stuff, which is fantastic. And so that's something to keep in mind, guys, is that, if you aren't real sure what you want to do, maybe a military career is right for you. And the fact that, that might help you transition into something that you like. And yeah, I like that you brought up that, you could have worked for, an airplane company or manufacturer or whatever and stuff. I mean, like that would have been phenomenal for that too. So yeah, I mean, you do a fantastic job in what you do now, so don't quit. But but yeah, I mean, like, yeah, that's really cool that it was able to lead to other experiences. So can you tell the kids a little bit about what was life like for you, like after the military? Like when you left the military, like was it kind of a big transition back to civilian life, or what was your transition like back to regular life, I guess? So
It was a little different. I mean, I had to figure out what I was going to wear every day instead of wearing a uniform all the time. It probably took me, I would say at least 2 years to fully adjust. I mean, I'm not talking like I'm all hardcore military style, but just in general, like Okay, my schedule is on my time now, not military time. So I'm not, you know, I'm not working crazy hours. I'm doing the things that I want to do. However, you know, those disciplines carry over for the rest of your life. And even as I said, you know, I wasn't the greatest student um, through high school, but I was better at in college because of that military experience. It taught me how to focus. It taught me how to pay attention to details specifically. And one thing, this is kind of weird, but I was like, when I was in the military, I was so worried about, you know, when I get out of the military, I'm going to be old, right? Um, and so I was really no different than anyone else, you know, starting college or graduating college. Um, Even for my career path now, I mean, I'm right where I need to be. Sure, some people say, "Well, I've lost years because I was in the military before getting out," and that's actually not, not the case at all.
Yeah, yeah, definitely. So, well, let me pause and see if the kids have some questions for you. So, questions do you want to ask, Ben? Kids are so quiet today. Go ahead, sir.
This might more relate to me because I want to be in the Navy.
Yes.
But I know it already disqualifies you.
What disqualifies you said?
Yeah.
Okay.
Because my DD prone.
Oh, yeah.
Get disqualified. But I've also heard if it's true or not that some people can get past it.
Okay, yeah, I think that's a fair question. So I have a student she's looking to possibly go into the military after high school, and she has a medical condition that she's a little worried about that possibly disqualifying her and those kind of things. And I've talked to some other people who had wanted to go into the military and might have been disqualified by some of those things, but even if you can't go into active military, is there still opportunities for people to still get involved with that career path, I should say?
I think so. There's a lot of they're like civilian contractors that work almost right alongside military personnel. I know a lot of places that I visited, we would have civilian guys working right alongside of us, and they were basically the same job as I was doing. Now, granted, they were making like 50, 80, $120 an hour, where we're not.
Yeah.
Keep that in mind as well as your civilian contracting. And they would punch a clock. So they would be there at 9 and leave at 6 or whenever they were done. And if we weren't done, well, guess what? We got to stick around. So
Hey, yeah.
yeah, and I don't know quite how to get into that specific side of that field, but there are definitely civilian contractors that work hand in hand with military personnel for sure.
Yeah, I'm glad that you brought that up because I actually had never really thought about that, Star. But honestly, I mean, yeah, obviously there's some people who make really good money doing those things, and yeah, and if people don't want to see active duty, I mean, that's also an option. I mean, there's obviously a lot of things that make up our military that are super important to our country. So I mean, like obviously active duty being a very important one, but contractors do important jobs too. So that was a fair point there. So, what other questions you want to ask, Ben? I think. Good.
So, what is it like really like?
That's a good question. What is boot camp like?
Ooh, boot camp. What is boot camp like? So boot camp is like an extended summer camp. I'll say anyone in your class play sports?
Oh yeah, I got several
Several
athletes.
sports. Okay.
Yeah.
Imagine being at football 2-a-days every day for 8-9 weeks. Imagine being at soccer practice all day every day for 8 or 9 weeks. Pretty similar to that. They will, a lot of times you see portrayals of boot camp where you're getting yelled at and screamed at. Well, to an extent sometimes, but what they're trying to do is get you to pay attention to the details, right? You say like, I know it's super super silly, but it's like, I'm trying to think of an example. They'll teach you how to fold your clothes, right? And if you don't fold it a certain way, they're like, why did you do it like that? I don't understand. I give you the directions. And you're like, well, and they're just trying to get you to pay attention, and stuff like that. So there's a side of boot camp that's honestly was really fun. And then there's a side of boot camp that's like, okay, this is not fun whatsoever. And it's like, well, we have 6 hours till our next meal. We're just going to fold our clothes the rest of the day. And it's like, oh my word, that's awful. So overall, boot camp is a good experience. Is it absolutely horrible? No, not really. But you can also make lifelong friends there as well. And so you never know. And you meet people from all over the country, with different backgrounds, different experiences. Some people are older, some maybe younger. So it's really kind of cool to see how all that shakes out.
Yeah. That's really good. Yeah. So all I envision is the people getting screamed at in boot camp and stuff. And I know that's not the case because I have so many friends that have been in the military and stuff, but yeah, I mean, it is good to bring that up. So yeah. Okay. Other questions? Yeah. Oh, okay. And maybe this is a good question, follow-up question for you then, Ben. So she was asking about like moving around with the military and stuff. I know you and Sam moved around a little bit. Do you want to talk a little bit about some of the locations that you were in?
Sure. So I started in Great Lakes. That's where boot camp takes place. And from there, I got orders to Pensacola, Florida. And I spent some of they call it a school. So you learn your trade, and it could be it could be anywhere in the country. And so you'll go to your school and learn some basics about the trade that you're going to learn. So I was in Pensacola, Florida for a while, and then I moved to a naval base in Lemoore, California, for another short period of time, maybe 3 or 4 months. And then where I was stationed was in Fallon, Nevada. And that is, I mean, everyone's seen the movie Top Gun.
Yeah, a couple people have, yeah. Mm-hmm.
Okay. So basically, that movie, some of that took place in Fallon, and a lot of it took place in Miramar, down near San Diego. So basically, that's what I did. We would train pilots 6 to 8 weeks at a time, and all the bombing ranges were out there. So we loaded bombs and sent them out on missions, and they would drop bombs, and then shortly after they would deploy and go overseas. And so they would have that similar training. But every single move, the military paid for. They even paid for my move when I transitioned out of the service as well. And so again, they took care of us from step one all the way to the very end. And so, but out of those locations, every several weeks we would detach. Our unit would detach, and we would travel across the country for at least 2 weeks. And so sometimes we'd be in Key West, sometimes we'd be in Alaska, sometimes we'd be in South Carolina or San Diego. One group got to go to Key West a couple of times. So all the travel experience. I never went anywhere around the world, but I know a lot of people that do, and they have a lot of fun with it.
Yeah, absolutely. So, and that's something you're considering as far as like, if you want to see the world a little bit, that's certainly something to think about too, because, it's not I wouldn't want to say it's a free trip or anything like that. And stuff, but right. Yeah, but a way to get experience in that. And I think that obviously get to see a lot of different places. So, Ben, before we switch, and I wanted to have you talk a little bit about your career as a youth pastor too, because I think that's an important career as well. But before we switch to that, any final advice you would give to the kids as far as like, if they want to really pursue a career in the military, any classes that you think would be important in high school for them to pay attention to, or anything that in the future would definitely be worthwhile to look into before applying for the military?
Ooh, great question. Honestly, I'm not sure what really will help further that, aside from taking the classes that you like specifically. I remember in high school having a kind of going through my career pathways, and so what I did was I just took all my core classes every single year. And so it was like, oh well, you did your math credits, you can be done with math. And I was like, well, I'd rather just continue on doing some basic studies. And those things I think certainly help, because once you get through boot camp, even in boot camp, you'll essentially study and take tests and exams while you're there, because you'll need to learn, you'll need to learn about a ship. You'll need to learn about what life is like on a boat. You'll need to learn how to navigate in a field. You'll need to learn you'll need to learn all these things. So basic skill sets are just highly valuable. So learn all that you can, no matter what. I loved biology in high school. Absolutely loved it. I could never make higher than like a B+ on a test. For whatever reason, I just couldn't do it. Maybe I just needed to study more. So maybe that's the key. But continue to take the classes that you enjoy and that you like for your career.
Okay. Yeah, that's good advice. I like that. So before we get wrapped up, I wanted to have you just talk a little bit about, so obviously Ben is also a youth pastor, and I don't know if anybody is considering something like this down the road, or even possibly connecting occupations with counseling and those kind of things and stuff. So Ben, I'm just going to have you talk a little bit about what your current job is, and maybe some of the pros and cons of your job, and some things that maybe got you interested in doing it. So
yeah. So as a kid, I was a weird kid, like a lot of people. I was a weird kid in that I had like this weird fascination with church. I grew up going to church, and I really enjoyed it. And so over the course of time, I felt like I was called into ministry. Didn't really know how, didn't really know what it meant at the time. But I feel like probably by 7th grade, I knew that I wanted to be in ministry in some capacity. And by the time I was a freshman in high school, I attended a youth conference. And during one of the services there, I just knew for a fact that God was calling me into ministry specifically, and specifically youth ministry. And so as a youth pastor right now, I think one of the greatest, even just the greatest challenge for me is just being able to reach teenagers, being able to reach you, because the choices and decisions that you make on a daily basis matter. Okay. I'm telling you, from everything that you eat, the things that you drink. I'm not even just talking about your spiritual life. I'm talking about your physical health, your mental health. All of these decisions matter. And I became a youth pastor because I want to influence you at a young age, so that when we're older, when I'm older, right? I'm 33, that I will look back and go, man, the decisions I made have impacted my life so much so that I'm not looking back going, oh man, I made a mess of life, but rather I know that God has given me life to the fullest, and I can continue to live it. And so in ministry now, that's kind of I base my ministry philosophy around is connecting with God, connecting with other people as well is a huge one. I think we live in isolation way too much, especially over the last year of the pandemic and COVID and all. We're all just isolated.
Yeah.
And I think there's a time and a place for it, but we really do need each other. The second thing is I want students to grow. I want them to grow in their relationship with God. I want them to grow in their relationship with others, with their family. As much as your families can drive you crazy, your family is important to you. And I know I'm going to say it out loud. Even your parents, right? Your parents are trying to make the best decisions they can for you. I know it's annoying. I know they drive you nuts, but they have the best interest for you. And so you won't realize it maybe now, but someday down the road, you'll be like, yeah, I'm glad I listened to my parents.
Yeah.
And then the final thing, and then the final thing really with my job is I want people to share their experience with others. I want you to share your testimony. I want you to share the good things that have happened to you in your life. Share them with others, because you never know. The person sitting next to you, even right now, might be struggling with something that you're struggling with. And they won't know it. You won't know it unless you speak up and you share about it. You don't have to go into nitty gritty details, but just enough so someone else will just know, like, oh, wow, you really are a real person. You do have struggles. You do worry about stuff. You do have anxiety. And so stuff like that. So right now, within the church, I do a lot of, I consider myself a teacher, and I absolutely love it because I get to teach the Bible. I get to teach scripture and what God's word says. And we approach it as God's word is the authority. We don't try to, make it into something that it's not. I know that there's a lot of crazy stuff out there in the world, and we are open to it. We want to know about all things because I'm ignorant about a lot of things. Okay. I may not understand it fully, but I want to know so that way I can have some empathy with others and I can love people where they're at. I sin differently than you do, right? But it doesn't mean that we have to be judgmental and all like up in arms with it. But right now I'm in that teaching mode. Each and every single week I like to teach scripture, and I love to ask questions so that our students can learn more about God's word and learn more about how they're impacting other people around them as well.
Yeah, awesome. Yeah, that was a really good introduction to what they do and stuff. I actually have a student in here that is planning to go to college for worship ministry, but she's out today. But I was going to have her ask some questions and stuff. So, but yeah, she's actually thinking about doing that too. And then I totally forgot, because Ben is just a man of all kinds of trades. I totally forgot that Ben also does photography and videography and has his own company. And so I gotta say, I won't keep holding you up here and stuff because we're gonna run out of time pretty soon. But yeah, I totally forgot about that too, Ben. Hang on just a second. I'm gonna see if I can find one of your videos real quick and show the kids.
Oh, sure.
Ben's pretty darn good. I'm gonna switch over real quick here. Hang on.
My 512 page maybe has a couple.
Okay, awesome. Let me look on there.
There's some team ones and individual ones on there.
Oh yeah, let's say that one soccer video did too. It was really good.
Thank you. Yeah. So it kind of was a hobby turned into a, hey, this is kind of fun. I'll keep doing it.
Can you see what I'm doing? Okay, as I say.
Where is it? Oh, no, I lost it.
Or I can share my screen with you. Hang on just a second.
Yeah.
Hang on, share screen.
Yes. Fun fact, the largest bomb that I loaded on an F-18 was 1,000-pound bomb. We loaded 6 of those things on one. A fun fact.
Holy cow. Yeah, that's crazy. So, okay. So Ben comes out and does, he does all kinds of different things, but he actually does a lot with youth sports. So a lot of the kids that are our youth group at church and stuff, he'll come out and he'll do videos and photography of those kids and stuff. And additionally, he's done weddings. And Ben, you might want to fill me in on the rest because I'll probably forget some, but
sure.
You've done a lot of different things.
Yeah, and then next week I'll be doing I'm doing an adoption video.
Oh, that's cool.
Family is adopting a 1-year-old girl, and so I'm going to go watch them do that and take all their video and put that together.
That is awesome. So here was I'll show this real quick because it's a quick one. So this was a wrestling video you did, I think, for Liberty Benton. I'll show that real quick.
Yeah.
At home. We beat them last year at their place. They want to come in here and beat us. Focus on attacking. We're going to wrestle with urgency. You have one job, and that job is to wrestle 6 minutes as hard as you can. We're going to go and we're going to attack right when that whistle blows. Finish. You have to finish. No one holds us down. Give it all you have tonight. Take them down. Pin them. We have to compete. You have 6 minutes tonight. We don't know what tomorrow's going to bring. Hey, represent that Simon well. I'm excited. I get to wrestle.
So yeah, he has videos like that. He's done weddings and stuff, and you have a drone, I'm pretty sure, that he'll take up and do big shots and stuff too. So, which if I have some time, I'll show the kids some more videos there. But yeah, I say, yeah, you do all kinds of things. I kind of forget all the things that you do. So yeah, I'm not sure how you get sleep at night. So
not well. My kids are not sleeping either.
Yeah, so say not with 3 kids either. So yeah, awesome. So, all right, well, we need to wrap things up. Any final questions for Ben before we go today, guys? Okay, awesome. Thanks, Ben. I really appreciate you spending time with us today. It
thank
was
you.
awesome to talk with you. And yeah, I remember a lot of your stories, but it was fun to listen to some of those again. And yeah, just kind of remember some of the things that you guys have done in the past. So
Yeah,
awesome.
very cool. Awesome. Thank you so much for inviting me, and I hope everyone has a great rest of your day.
Awesome. Thanks, Ben.
Oh, thank you. Bye.